The following program is wholly sponsored and produced by Real Estate Radio Philadelphia, LLC, which is responsible for its content.
Welcome to Real Estate Radio here on WFYL 1180 AM and 10. Thank you for joining us. And we were talking a little bit about some of the opportunities that exist for you right now in real estate as it relates to the things that have been in the news. And I thought it would be good because we haven't specifically for a while gotten into the Philadelphia marketplace to talk to you about what's happening with real estate there in the city of Philadelphia. There's a lot of activity in the investor market as well there, and so we wanted to have an expert in that area from the city of Philadelphia, and we have Elaine Kasavage from RE/MAX, and let's go to our interview with Elaine. Welcome to Real Estate Radio here on 1180 WFYL, and like we always do, we like to have local experts on the show, and we want to get a report this weekend from the city of Philadelphia and see how real estate is doing in the city for both you purchasers, sellers, and also investors. And on with us today, we have Elaine Kasavage. Elaine is a realtor with RE/MAX Access, which is located on North 2nd Street in Philadelphia. And Elaine, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you, Doug.
It's great to have you. We've worked on a couple things together, and I thought you could add your insight and give the listeners maybe something, good information on what's happening in Philadelphia real estate. Let's talk a little bit about from the buyer side. What do you see happening as far as buyers out there in the city of Philadelphia?
Okay, well, of course, right now, it's summer. A lot of buyers, our buyer pool is very low. Overall, they're basically very particular and choosy on the house they're going to purchase. So, of course, they want to see everything, out there on the market, depending on what area, that's there. And, of course, when you get a phone call, they're asking how many days the property's been on the market. So they're always more apt to look for that higher sales price and want to just throw out $20,000 below whatever, the property's marketed for.
And you didn't used to get that question, did you?
No, you didn't.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So that's definitely number one with the buyers. And hopefully if you're with a good quality agency, who knows the market in whatever particular area they're at, hopefully the agent is going to kind of let them know that, hey, you can't just look at a property. I know my job. I know it's priced right because I know the market, and you just can't go in and be very selective.
Yeah, you need some trust there between buyer and agent.
You need some trust.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And again, you need to build that trust with your clients, send them out.
And that's why
let them know what houses have sold for, as close to whatever month, you're out there looking in, and say, hey, this one, sold for this price. Here's the condition. This one, is not so off, so you can't just say you're going to reduce, offer a price at 20%.
Right.
Below the listing price.
And that's why I think it's so important for people to work with an agent that's active in the area that they're looking. Sometimes we run across someone that maybe was looking in, for example, Chester County and has switched their focus to Philadelphia. Well, that Chester County realtor will not be as knowledgeable in the Philadelphia area like they were in Chester County, for example.
Exactly, and that's another thing. You do see a lot of, agents from other counties coming down to Philadelphia because Philadelphia, it's slow but steady. We kind of level off. So you basically, Philadelphia, you want to stick with a Philadelphia agency, like RE/MAX, of course, because we're top quality agents. Just I didn't want to throw, the names out there, but you do want to make sure that you have someone that's focused in the area wherever you're looking for.
Now, Elaine, what's your record or I know this is unofficial, but what's your unofficial record for people that have looked at the most homes before they actually bought?
My record was probably in the very, very beginning, and I want to say at least when I first got into real estate, I would want to say 50 homes.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That is a lot. I mean, it was over a month, 2 months, because their job schedule, only allowed a certain amount. However, I do want to say, add to, if your agent knows your area, exactly what you're looking for, your price range, how much your monthly payment is going to be, you would feel comfortable paying. I mean, even though you're qualified for the higher number, you might only feel comfortable paying maybe $1,000 per month. You don't want to stay at your max mortgage payment. I would definitely say if your agent knows the area, knows you good enough, and has that relationship, you're definitely relying on them to at least show you 5 to maybe, I would say 10 properties max in your location. And if you can't find anything there, then you're probably not looking for a house at this particular time.
And that's why I think it's important for you being the agent and the buyer to have a good conversation before you do anything, and
Exactly.
so that you can get a good feel for what exactly they're looking for. So if they give you, just for example, 10 points, 10 must-haves in a house, and you find a house that meets all 10 that you know is priced right, why do they have to go on and look at 20 more homes?
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Now back to Philadelphia specifically, on the buyer's side, for the buyers that are out there, are you finding too many homes for sale, not enough inventory?
There is a lot of inventory out there.
Okay, a lot of inventory. And
Yes.
how about the number of buyers?
The buyer pool, again, is very, very low. And again, you hear all this negativity on, the news every day about the economy. So I think buyers are a little laid back. They're a little afraid to take that next step. They're, saying, well, we would like to kind of, see houses and buy a new home, or, for whatever reason, be a first-time home buyer, take advantage of these historically low interest rates. However, is my job going to be stable next year?
Right. I mean, jobs are such a backbone of the economy. Nobody wants to buy a house if they're not comfortable in their jobs. But for someone that is comfortable in their job and they feel confident in that and is pre-qualified, I mean, I haven't seen any better time to buy than right now, and I've been doing this for 20 years. And if you've listened to the show, you know that I've talked about the smartest people that I know, investor-wise, also are big-time buyers right now. I just think the time, from an affordability standpoint, with lower sale prices and lower interest rates, that if you are, for example, a first-time home buyer that doesn't have a home to sell, there's no better time to buy than now.
Exactly.
So that's the buyer's side. What are you seeing from sellers in the city of Philadelphia, the sellers that you're working for? What's the mindset of them right now?
Okay, sellers right now are, again, they're you're basically, for the sellers markets, some of the areas are getting higher with the short sales. For whatever reason, they're starting to do short sales and more REO properties we have with the banks and stuff. So that's higher out there. Again, pinpointing it, it's better time for an investor to purchase something. First-time home buyers, I wouldn't recommend them purchase a short sale because it could be very lengthy and it could kind of set their mind frame to, again, be a little scared to purchase something like that. But again,
no, go ahead.
Your sellers are, getting more exposure. Again, if you're going with someone who's in your area, qualified professional that knows the area, you're basically getting more exposure because, and again, they're still being a little picky with their prices. You kind of have to educate them that we're not in the market 2 years ago. This is what sold specifically in your area, the same condition. We need to drop your prices. And again, if you're not willing to reduce your prices, then you're going to have to rent your property out.
Right.
As of right now, that's the way it is.
And I mean, you never saw so many sellers being banks in the past, and now that's happening.
Exactly, yes.
And the first-time home buyers, not only is the length of time in a short sale difficult for them to deal with, but typically the property that you get is certainly not your cream puff move-in type property, and a lot of first-time home buyers are struggling for down payment or closing costs, and then to move in and have to, do a lot of work on a property could be a big deterrent as well.
Exactly, right. Yeah, because most of the time your utilities are being turned off because, if the seller's doing a short sale, they don't have the funds to, really keep up with stuff. Things are breaking. And for a first-time home buyer, the sellers are not willing to do any fixing, because they don't have the money to pay for it. So, it's a little scary to have a buyer walk in there and not know what he's getting into.
And we're going to talk about some things to help some people in the future who are in that situation, a first-time home buyer that maybe wants to take advantage of a property like that. We do have some loans like a 203K, for example,
exactly.
which we'll talk about in a future show, where a buyer can purchase not only the property but borrow money to fix up the property as well. We talk about using home warranties such that, if someone basically has no money after closing, this will protect them in case something goes wrong in the house as well. So we'll talk about some of those things. Now, one of the segments in the
I'm glad you did bring that up, Doug, because that is what's going on right now. We do have that great program, that FHA 203K program, that is helping buyers out there to borrow money and get the funds for that, and that's definitely a new market that's going to help buyers purchase homes.
Now, what someone wants to do if they're interested in that, as you know, I'm a lender in the marketplace, but you definitely want to be pre-qualified for that. There's some different things that apply to qualify for that loan versus maybe your standard loan. So we want to make sure we get our ducks in a row before someone goes out and looks at properties like that, because we would not want to waste the agent's time and they find something that they fall in love with only to find that they can't even qualify for it. So we constantly preach that the first thing you want to do is get pre-qualified for the program that you want to be in. You'd agree with that, correct?
Definitely.
Yeah.
You said I couldn't explain it any better than the way you just did. You definitely want to get a qualified mortgage professional first.
And see that,
again,
Elaine?
and that's why the real estate agent wants to meet with the clients, have a one-on-one, connect them with a professional mortgage person to get all their ducks in a row.
And you see, Elaine, that's why we tell people they can't do anything on Saturday mornings between 9 and 10. They got to be listening right here.
Exactly.
Even with this beautiful weather, go out after 10 o'clock. Now, Elaine, the one segment of the market that I know you work in and I've worked in, and that does seem to be pretty hot, is the investor segment, especially in Philadelphia. So tell us why you think investors are so active in the city of Philadelphia right now.
Because, again, you're getting a lot of REO-type properties where the bank, they went into foreclosure, or the seller just walked away, maybe just left it, and you have estate sales, things to that nature, and it dropped. And in certain areas, if you get a property, an REO, estate sale, for an investor to go in, spend his cash, buy it, renovate it, and then they're either reselling it or renting it out to keep their, build to their portfolio.
Now, investors are smart. I mean, they're some of the experts in the real estate industry or in the marketplace and active in the marketplace. And I think normal people could take some tips from investors and look at what investors doing. Amidst all the bad news in real estate, what are investors doing? They're buying. Similar to, I always equate it to the stock market, that when stocks fall, which is when they become the cheapest that they are, that's when most people sell and they don't want to buy. So take your cue from the investors and see where, these are smart real estate people, see what they're doing, they're purchasing. And Elaine, you and I talked a little bit about it earlier, with sale prices down and interest rates at historic lows. I mean, now is a great time from an affordability standpoint to be a buyer.
Correct. Absolutely correct.
Now, how much of is a big portion of your business investor business right now?
It is right now, yes. And again, like I said, I do the REO for the banks as well, sell their REO inventory.
How do you find dealing with the banks?
They're good. They listen.
Oh, good. We've had some differing opinion on this show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they listen. Usually, what I'm doing right now is more your local area banks that I've been dealing with.
Okay.
So they've been listening. They're just like typical sellers. You just have to give them, hey, this is what's happening. You have to be an expert in your area and be able to support the comps and show them what has sold, what hasn't, what's active, what's their competition.
And I would imagine if you're dealing with maybe some smaller local banks, a little easier to deal with than the national huge conglomerates like B of A or Chase or Wells Fargo or people like that. Usually locally you can probably get someone on the phone a little bit better than you can with those folks.
Right. And we also have another agent here who also is highly, probably one of our biggest REO properties. One of our biggest REO agents in the city. So we're kind of, and then again, we have the Summers team, which we work as a team. So, to help anybody, anywhere in Philadelphia.
That's great.
And we also have agents from the counties as well who are very familiar, live in the counties, come all the way down to our office. So no matter where you need somebody, you can find it here.
Great. And we will give out your contact information in a second. I wanted to mention one other thing. You talked about the differences in the city and the county and how important it is to have an agent familiar with that area. Are you finding any areas of the city better or hotter than any other area right now, real estate-wise?
Well, as of right now, we do have the Fishtown area that pretty much is holding pretty tight. Basically, your houses in the price ranges of $150 to $300. That's what most people are looking for. I mean, I have zip codes that I'm pretty much familiar. I can give you the average price, as opposed to last year. But I would say Fishtown right now is really good. South Philly, you have a lot of investors in there who are going in there, buying cheaper properties, renovating, to make a better product for the area.
What range would you see in the South Philadelphia area?
In the South Philadelphia area, well, there's different little niche markets. I would say, like, it's block to block, like 0 to 100. Same thing with Fishtown. If you can find something 0 to 100, but then for resale value, you're going to get that 150 to potentially, I would say, 250 in the Fishtown area, depending, of course, on square footage and 3 stories. If it's a great block.
Sure.
In those Fishtown, Port Richmond, South Philadelphia, if you go around, you'll see different new construction in different areas where the investors are buying and making a good quality product.
So if a first-time homebuyer came to you, and we do have a lot of first-time homebuyers that listen, if a first-time homebuyer came to you and they're paying, just for example, $1,200 a month in rent, and they want to buy something that's going to give them a payment of around that area, are those the 3 areas that you would recommend they look at?
Oh, yes, definitely.
So Fishtown, South Philadelphia, Port Richmond.
Mm-hmm. Even into Bridesburg, Northeast Philadelphia, and go up there, and
And do you handle all of those areas?
I do.
Okay.
Yes.
So what recommendation would you give to someone who's listening out there who maybe they're thinking, you know what, I'm hearing what a great time it might be to be a buyer. I do see that sale prices are down. I see interest rates are down, but they're kind of sitting on the sidelines. What would you tell somebody in that scenario, and what steps do you think they should take?
Well, again, contact someone you feel comfortable with in the real estate industry. Sit down and have a one-on-one consultation ahead of time with your realtor. Then secondly, the realtor would then put you in touch with a mortgage professional and go through your areas, and I would just tell them, now's the time to buy. Get off the fence and get out there.
Elaine, if someone wants to buy in Philadelphia and they want to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
I would call me directly on my cell at 215-756-1531, or they can go right to my website, www.ElaineKasavage.com, and that's ELAINEKASAVAGE. V as in Victor. K.A. Savage.
I'm glad you gave that spelling. I mean, I have it in front of me, but always good to give that out.
Yeah, and here's something funny. A lot of people will tease me around the office and call me K&A Savage.
I'm glad you told us, because now I'm going to start doing that.
Okay.
Well, Elaine, we really appreciate you coming on and giving us a quick views on Philadelphia real estate and what's been happening in the city. We will stay in touch with you, and certainly if anyone, a friend of the show, happens to need to buy in Philadelphia, we will certainly have them get in touch with you. But thank you so much for being part of the show and giving us that great and valuable information on Philadelphia real estate.
Oh, thank you, Doug.
Elaine, thanks a lot. Have a great weekend, okay?
Okay, you too. Thanks, Doug.
All right, thanks. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.